Joseph. I am excited this week because there is a lot going on. My timeline is filled with AI imagery, which has been really, really fun. But since we last talked, you had, I think, your offsite between now and then, which you had in Miami with the team. You went to Utah Jazz jersey, which was hilarious because Billy loves himself some Jazz. Before we get into the deep AI news, I know people, I don't know if people are sick of this, but I'm fascinated with it, so I'm not going to stop. And hey, it's our show, so we're going to go with it. Billy, so people who don't follow Billy Bets obviously a sports betting AI bot that Bunchu's put together with other sharps who tend to beat Vegas already and get kicked out of sports books. So they said, hey, let's have AI do this. You entered a March Madness tournament and you are cooking, and round one, your opponent was salty, accused you of impropriety. That was shenanigans. Round two, now you're going up against it. It seems your opponent has a good sense of humor around it. Talk
round
about what
three.
Billy's doing right now. Oh, did you? Or round three? I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. We're in this week. So give me the background of this whole thing, because I have been following this and laughing, especially when Brett had to come on and correct them.
Oh man, it's so funny. So yeah, we did have our first company offsite last week, which was really fun. We got the whole team together. We're all over the place. We're remote, so we got together last week and all got to work together for the week, which was really fun. And on the Wednesday, we all went to a Miami Heat game. And the funny thing about that was, we don't really know what Billy's going to take until he kind of does it. And so we're sitting around lunchtime that day and we're like, oh, is he going to bet the Heat? It would be really cool if we get a bet on the Heat game. And I actually was really not concerned, but I thought he was going to take the other side and we'd be there rooting against the Heat. And so turns out he did take the Heat. And so we all were there rooting for the Heat. And it was fun. We had our whole crew with us, and we had some investors and, some folks from Delphi Digital and Coinbase Ventures and things like that there with us. And so we had a whole group there and we were all rooting for the Heat. And they lost on a heartbreaking buzzer beater 3-pointer with 0.2 seconds left. And it was just it was still so fun, even though we obviously lost the bet. What was really interesting about it, I think, was, and it almost like an insight for me was, when you make a bet and you lose, there's all these feelings that happen after, right? It's you second guess yourself. You're like, oh shit. You have oh, I lost money, et cetera, et cetera. And you really didn't get that vibe. You got, I was kind of describing it after of you got all the fun of the party with none of the hangover, right? Of cause you got the whole sweat. We were there engaged the whole time. It came down to literally the last second. And at the end, yeah, we lost and we were disappointed that he lost. But individually, nobody lost, right? It was a really fun thing. So that was a kind of a fun insight for me. But
you just hit us with and we were all winners that day.
And the real win was the friends we made along the way at the Heat game. And my co-founder Jared surprised me right before we left for the game with the Jazz, the bright Walker Kessler Jazz jersey, which is become Billy's favorite player. So of course I had to wear it to the game. I got a lot of weird looks and questions about it, but it was really funny. Dude, honestly, it's the craziest thing happened. I kind of even forgot this happened. We're walking into the game and Brad is wearing his bright lime green Billy Betts jacket that he made for himself. And the security guard letting us into the stadium goes, yo, is that Billy? And we were like, what? The guy, and he daps up Brad and he's like, yo, that's Billy. That's my homie. I was like, oh my God. We were we couldn't believe that actually happened. It was kind of,
was there someone actually familiar, holds a token or been following along in the community, an actual
he had to be. There's only one way he would have known. He knew the silhouette or something. It was so crazy.
The merch was just the silhouette, right? Did it say Billy Betts? It didn't even say Billy Betts.
It says it on the back, but we were walking right at him from the front. And it was kind of crazy. So that was really cool as well. But then, the competition thing you're describing. So Profit X, which is a large, like, US based sports book exchange. You can, find them in the App Store. They're in, I think, like 42 different states. And they're like this peer-to-peer exchange model. They saw what we were doing with Billy, and they were putting together like this handicapper / influencer March Madness bracket with a bunch of folks from the sports betting space. And they invited Billy to participate. Billy was a 16 seed in the tournament, so he went up in the first round against one of their chosen one seeds. The funny thing about that person was he's also the Profit X sponsored streamer, so he was he was very forced to get his ass kicked in public, and he did not like it at all. So, like, I think those folks are maybe not used to
like, I have a serious question on this, because I've seen a lot, like the last 24 hours. I'm sure we'll get to I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but the anime style
Ghibli, yeah.
Ghibli. We've seen that take over the timeline. And there's also seems to feel like sad for artists, or it's over for artists. It's over for graphic designers. It's over for, are the sports betting touts, are they like, I'm sure I would imagine some are, not just this guy who lost, but I'm guessing some are not happy with Billy, or has it reached a point of contention with any of them yet, or not quite yet?
I mean, the first 2 rounds, I would say, were very contentious. So like the first dude, he basically accused us of not being, like, the Twitter account specifically, of not being run by a single person, is what he described it. And jokes on him, it's not only not run by a person at all, but a shit talking AI that was all up in his grill, which was really funny. So he was not pleased with the butt kicking he took in the first round. So Billy did.
Alex seems like a better sport.
Oh, he's so much fun. He actually joined our Discord yesterday. He's going to come on the stream with us today. So he was a lot of fun. And so, but I mean, worth noting, he's a 12 seed, right? So he's probably one of these guys that's in a, similar position to us, a actual sports bettor, not a, pick seller tout kind of type. But so we won the first round. Our opponent, he went 1-5, so it was Billy cruised to an easy win in round 1. And our second opponent, so you had to pick six picks in round 1, and one of them had to be a player prop. In round 2, it was 5 picks. One of them had to be a player prop. So Billy went a combined 7-3-1 in the first 2 rounds. His opponents went a combined 2-9. So he beat them in extreme fashion, and neither of them enjoyed getting trolled by an AI on the timeline or our community. And so that was kind of funny. I had to tell the Discord community to kind of chill it a little bit, because they were
man. See, I loved it. Like, first of all, I can't stop feeling this sense of like glee. And I don't know if it's because like you're one of my best friends and I love you to death, or because I'm just excited about AI. It's probably a combination of all my things, but I am just cracking up. And like, I just love the idea of you being able to be like, yeah, he went 1-5, so Billy cruised easy, cooked him there. And like, it's just so funny to like watch this whole thing unfold. It's like one of like the most interesting experiences, because like I feel like people don't know what's coming with this, because I think the average person looks at AI and maybe they're familiar with like, Deep Blue winning chess and Jeopardy and things. They're like, okay, like I kind of understand what that is. But like, I think a lot of people aren't familiar about that. So when they see this, they're like, is this real? They don't know what they're being introduced to. And it's so like, I take such so much joy, which I probably shouldn't, in hearing like seeing the saltiness and seeing the people who get it, who are having fun with it. And it's just one of the coolest things. I can't imagine what it's like for you.
To Cap's point, though, is like there's this entire industry of he described it correctly, like the sports betting touts, right? And it's these people.
Probably like, I'm sorry to interject, but for those that aren't familiar,
yes, where you're going is correct. Yes,
people have a very negative impression of crypto KOLs, crypto influencers. They're scammers. There's grifters. I'm not nearly as deep in it as you are. I'm like adjacent to the the pick sellers, right? Like I follow a lot of the sports contents. I don't follow any of the touts and the pick sellers, but am I right saying that they're maybe as disliked by the real sports bettors as the fake KOL grifters are in crypto by the rest of the real builders in crypto? Is that a proper comparison or no?
100%.
So they
yes,
really
100% it is. And oh yeah, I mean, like think about what this contest is, right? You are asking people who sell picks in some of these situations to document what they're doing very publicly and post their slips and all this stuff. And this is the things that do not happen. Like the reason that people have such a problem with these touts is like they don't document their plays. You typically can't get the same plays that they even post. There's like kind of low effort. It's really hard to pay for a subscription and still have a small edge, etc. And like they're not tracking themselves in a way because most of them don't win, right? And so I think this is actually one of the markets that Billy can just kind of eat, right? Like where there is a very real thing happening with us betting on chain, right? Just the fact that we bet on chain is a total differentiator from that market and should be looked at by anybody who buys those types of services.
I know we're going deep on this, and we will get into all the other AI stuff here soon. But I actually, not only do I think Billy is going to eat or could eat in that arena, should that be a route that you go down the road in the future, I actually think it could be the beginning of the end for those pick sellers and touts. I think that sooner or later, the masses are going to realize that maybe you're not getting scammed, but it's not EV. It's negative EV to pay those touts and those pick sellers to get the information you're getting, especially when there is as good or better information that you can have fed to you now by an AI like Billy.
A lot of them are scams, just straight up, right? So like on top, like just a lot of them are scammers, right? And so the market is huge. Like if you look at something like a Dub Club, right, which is essentially a platform that enables these handicappers to sell their services, you're talking like $30, $50 a month subscriptions, with some of these handicappers having 40,000 subscribers each, right? So it's like, it is a massive, massive market. But it's really interesting to think about like why people feel the need to pick or to buy services like that, right? And it's all the same things that Billy is trying to solve. So I think it is a direct threat to that entire kind of industry, which I think is interesting. But yeah, before we jump into the other AI stuff. So we do have MLB starting today. So totally new fun markets that Billy will be playing in. He'll be playing.
That was going to be my first question. That was going to be my first question. Is Billy getting into the MLB streets? And does he have any underdog best ball takes for me? Because I'm going to do a $75 baseball draft when I get off the phone. And I am definitely negative EV. This is me already. Like this won't be All-Star break. This will be me. If I bet baseball, if I start playing DFS MLB or start betting baseball, I'll look like this next week. Like baseball
totally
is hard.
Yeah. It's hard. It's a grind. It's every day. If you think the NBA was a grind, baseball is even more so. So yeah, Billy will be betting MLB money lines and props just like he is in the NBA. Part of that is going to be maybe I'll drop a tiny bit of alpha here.
Is he real quick on the betting MLB now with NBA still going on? Is it still the same total bankroll? Is he increasing the bankroll to go across, or is he splitting across the two sports?
So he's going to split across the two sports. However, the bit of alpha that I'm going to drop here, so even before our Discord, which they might kill me for, but that's okay. We're basically calling everything prior to today Billy's spring training. So Billy's getting a full-on refresh for opening day. We are going to top up the wallet at some point here in the next week back to our initial bankroll. And then the I think really exciting thing for any token holders is we're going to reset the burn as well. So we're going to start as of today, kind of reset that whole burn mechanic as we kind of, so we're kind of calling the first 30 days here Billy spring training, and opening day is today. So we're going to have 4 different things going on with NBA, 5, I guess, NBA, main lines, money lines, props, NCAA basketball, MLB money lines, and MLB props. And like, it's just going to be, God, there's just always going to be something going on. It's kind of crazy.
I love it. I'm excited about this. I guess, like, how long do you think, obviously you're doing this now as an experiment, you're having fun with this tournament, and like, it's kind of cool because you sort of have the best of both worlds, in the sense you talk about being drinking without the hangover. You get to test out Billy. If you lose, you're like, cool, we get to learn. It's early on. If you win, you get to say, ha ha. So it's like, you kind of have like the ultimate. It's like when I play somebody who's better than me one-on-one in basketball, like a friend of mine, and then I win. I'm like, well, I expected to lose, so I could just laugh about it. But now when I beat you, that's hilarious. So you're doing that. How long before do you think you'll be comfortable? Because I could see a world 18 months from now when you just start calling out one by one, or you do a tournament, you're like, I want every pick caller to enter this thing. We will put our own Billy money on the line. Like, how long before you start doing that bombastic stuff? Because I can't wait for it.
Man, I think if we could prove out these models and strategies, I think we're already close to doing it, right? In terms of like, I think there's such a huge selling point for us to actually be betting on chain, right? Because it is, and putting our money where our mouth is with Billy. It's not like we're funding him with, a couple $100 to go make bets. We're like really trying to make a big splash here by giving it 100K, betting on chain. So everything is tracked. And like, find me other people that are doing that in that tout space. You can't, right? And so when they have to prove it, it's hard for them to do so. It's no coincidence that they all, kind of sell you these parlay cards instead, right? Because they're not meant to hit very often. But to your point, I always say, like, I was just saying, we almost have nothing to lose, right, in this Profit X tournament, right? Because they put us as a 16 seed. We're expected to lose. If we lose, it's like, oh, humans are better than AI for now, blah blah blah. And if we win, it is extremely amazing exposure for us in just a ton of different ways. So it's been exciting to compete. I'm happy that we got to get the invite from Profit X, and I think it just goes to show just like that this thing can cross over pretty quickly to mainstream, right? Because there's just such a huge industry that this is so adjacent to that can attract kind of your average sports bettor, I think, pretty easily.
I'm so stoked. This is like, I mean, this, like, I text you about it sometimes. It's like, this is one of my favorite things to follow right now, just because it's so fun and it's so interesting to watch how people are reacting to it in real time. And, right now people think it's like, like, people in the average sports world might think it's like a mid between quarter NBA trick, right? It's the dog doing jump rope. It's like, oh, it's a cute little trick. It's AI that does some betting, until it until it dusts them. And then next thing you know, they're like, wait a minute, like, this is actually like a thing. And I think that's one of the coolest parts to me, is seeing people almost come to that realization in real time at sometimes. And I'm excited to see it continue to cook that way.
Yeah. And I think like the next vision of this is, once we kind of prove out these strategies and models and things like that, the next version is people basically being able to spin up their private instance of Billy, right? And connect a wallet, deposit their own funds, pick the strategies it wants to follow, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, tell me that is not a direct threat to those kind of tout pick seller type of folks, right? So I'm super excited about it. We're going to keep grinding on it. We're hiring new team members to build stuff out. It's really it's just been a lot of fun. I can't believe I get to actually build my crazy ideas, and I'm very grateful for that.
Very cool, very cool. And we'll jump into AI here, but yeah, like, the Billy's going from, like, I don't know if you know Red Panda at the NBA games, or Quick Change, RIP Quick Change. But I think about those a lot of times, those people who did the circuit, and it's like the tricky thing to, like, the actual real one.
Totally. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, we want to talk the Ghiblification of, of Twitter.
Yeah, and I think as even bigger than that. So let's talk about the Ghiblification of Twitter. I'm sure everybody's seen these sort of images popping up on their X all over the place. You know, it's amazing. It looks great. But is the bigger story here the ChatGPT 4.0? Like, I'm curious, you're because I think there's probably more to it than just people cartooning their families, right?
Yeah, I think the cartooning their families is like the viral, the very easy viral moment of it all. Super fun. And it's like, it's so funny that it all kind of happened from that one tweet of somebody saying, oh, extreme alpha by sending these pictures of your family in Ghibli or Studio Ghibli style to your wife. As soon as I saw it, I did the same thing. And her reaction was so funny. It was exactly what, the tweet intended. She was like, oh my God, this is so cute, do more. And she just sent me like 30 pictures to start doing it. It was really funny. But the funny thing is, I mean, literally was talking to somebody about this last week, that it seemed as if OpenAI and ChatGPT like just kind of left the image stuff behind, right? They had DALL-E 3 that they introduced like a year and a half ago or whatever. And all of these other models, these multimodal things were coming along, and they had just seemed like they were almost uninterested in competing in that area. And then all of a sudden you see this, which honestly blows almost everything else I've seen out of the water immediately, right? And it's like there is definitely a new king in town with that. Like I canceled my Midjourney subscription this morning, which is like crazy because
to that, you do have to have the paid version of ChatGPT to access this, correct? Or am I just prompting?
Yes, you need, you're correct. You so
this is where I had actually canceled mine, and then I couldn't get to work. I'm like, oh, I guess this is going to be the hook that gets me to resubscribe to ChatGPT Pro, right?
The $20 a month version, you should get it in. However, so I think the intent was, I saw a tweet from Sam Altman this morning or yesterday or whatever. He said that the tweet said, this was way more well received and viral than we thought it would be. So unfortunately, the free tier rollout is going to take longer. So I think it was initially their intent to roll it out, and then it went insane, which I assume is costing them tons of money that they were not anticipating. So but it does sound like they intend to roll it out in some capacity to the free tier. So I would say
when it comes to these subscriptions, like you're canceling your Midjourney because of this, like I keep going back and forth because I and it's not that much money. I feel silly paying for redundancy, or I don't want to be paying for more subscriptions that I don't use. And for a while, I wasn't using enough of the paid features of ChatGPT, but now it's like, for someone like me who's not nearly as deep in it as you are, but I use this stuff daily, is that my best path to just pay for the ChatGPT, forget the rest for now, and see how this plays out? Is that what you'd recommend for someone who's, I want one ChatGPT subscription, I'll pay $20 a month, but that's it? Is it just go to ChatGPT and forget the rest?
I think so right now. I think just with everything they're building into it, I mean, you have literally their suite of every model that you could ask for in there. So if you don't like totally prefer to use Claude over ChatGPT for anything, it's all, you have fully capable models there with 01, 03, all of that stuff that you will have access to. Plus, it gives you access, that $20 a month subscription also gives you access to Sora, which is the video model, which is now, I think, even more impactful with the new image stuff. And the new image, generation things as well. The advanced voice mode, which is super cool. That just got an upgrade as well, which I feel like is kind of going slightly under noticed. It is way better at like conversational, just back and forth and understanding, when to interrupt or when you're done speaking or all of those things. So that just got an upgrade. So I would say your best bet, if you want one subscription, is still ChatGPT for now. However, like one of the big things we saw this week, that it's so crazy how the news cycle works in the like AI wars. We got, I think, the same day, Google announced their Gemini 2.5 model, and it is by all benchmarks now the most powerful model for almost everything. It's like benchmarking slightly better than Claude on coding, and it's got a 1 million token context window, and that's free to use right now through their AI, Google AI Studio. So don't sleep on that either. And that is like fully multimodal from end to end. And so like I've said this, the past couple months on this show, is like, who's the dark horse? I think it's still Google. And now, man, Chris, if you pull up Polymarket, there was a market on Polymarket that was something like, who is going to have the best AI model by the end of March? And the change in odds that happened over the last couple days is so wild if you bring up that chart of what it looks like. But it's so the AI wars are still very much on. However, I would say like the best bang for your buck for a $20 a month subscription, definitely still ChatGPT. There it is. Isn't that crazy?
It's just so
Just
interesting.
Google with a big leap, right? Yeah.
It's good with the new Gemini model. Yeah.
It's just fascinating to me because, like, to your point, like how quickly it's just I think it's almost a reflection of the space and how quickly things move when you realize, like, again, literally on this show in the past, I don't know, however many couple of weeks or whatever it's like we had a conversation where I said, I don't use ChatGPT because the image is garbage. I just use Midjourney. And now I have you saying you canceled your Midjourney. I'm considering canceling my Midjourney because I wasn't even thinking. I know this is probably like I'm way too smooth brain on this, but initially I was like, oh, this is cool. It edits my photos. I need to now take it for a spin because what you're saying is the actual image generation in general has gotten better too. So now I can do better prompts and it's actually doing better at that, not just here's an image, do the editing. Because I use it for imagery for like tweets, things like that.
That's the biggest thing I've noted. And I have not played around. Like I said, I canceled my paid subscription, but what I've seen on the timeline bunch is it's not just these different styles. It's just much more accurate. Like it's getting words right. Like I saw Legendary did one with Modern Market. It actually spelled Modern Market on his hat. Like that was shit you just couldn't get it to do right before. Like
it's incredible at it. It's
20
like
times it never got it right. Now it's actually getting text correct. And that may sound little, but that was
it's huge because this is, I think, the bigger implication, right? First of all, it's something that still I don't think Midjourney does super well, but it's hard to prompt Midjourney correctly, right? Like I think there's a use for Midjourney in this case if you are still super focused on like the artistic use cases of what you're trying to generate from an image, right? Like I think you have potentially way more control from an artistic standpoint for prompting Midjourney, and I don't think that's like easy to just replace. So if that is your main use case for Midjourney, you're probably still going to keep your Midjourney. If you're using it to like generate imagery for marketing or just image editing and things like that, I think ChatGPT is going to blow that out of the water based on what we've seen in the last couple of days. Like some of the craziest things I've seen is not even just the fun like restyling of images, but it's the have you seen some of these threads with like marketing images and infographics? And
the infographics are insane. That's been like the craziest one. I saw that recently. Like it's pretty nuts, right?
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you guys have heard of the term that like came about with all these coding tools, the like the cursors and replets of the world and stuff, where everybody didn't need to be a coder to build apps and write code. The term is vibe coding. And so people
I have heard this. I've heard vibe coding. I thought it was like, I heard somebody saying, and I thought it was like a joke that like it was like a bro-y guy who was pitching something, but now I've heard it multiple times.
No, it is basically using AI to code projects and just kind of Jesus take the wheel, right? So like it's vibe coding. You are coding based on vibes. You're just kind of letting it do its thing and you're communicating with what you want, et cetera, et cetera. The new term that has popped up in the last couple of days is vibe marketing, and it is basically now being enabled by a lot of these tools, but also this image creator, because you can now make, you know, really interesting marketing materials. Like if you go to the I think our Billy Betts dev account, we made this poster for the Sweet 16 matchup, and it is all done in ChatGPT in one shot. And it was super, like the words are spelled right, the handles are spelled right, the imagery is cool, it's fun, and like that was all done in 2 minutes with ChatGPT. And so like this idea that, I mean, I think when you think about like what's the real impact of outside of just all the fun we've seen on the timeline in the last 2 days, like this is the stuff. It's you know, very AGI feeling, like, right, where you just kind of tell things what you want and it happens at this point. So I think that's really kind of the bigger impact here. I think marketing, you know, it's funny. So I feel like we're almost there with like solving coding, right, in terms of anybody can do it and it becomes really easy. I think we're now there with like images, and I think we can be there soon or shortly with you know, video. And then it's like, what's next? It's probably writing, creative writing in some capacity. You're probably going to see some kind of tool that's just like insane at that. And it's just all moving so quickly, and all of this stuff is going to be able to be built into tools that agents can use. And, you know, I feel like I'm a broken record saying that how exponentially quick all of this is moving. But, you know, if we're here, I think we'll be here a year from now, like kind of laughing at where we were when we first started this segment. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. I do. Yeah. This is like one of the most interesting things
like
about it.
I don't feel bad at all for the devs, the programmers who like they're just going to be better devs and programmers. They're going to use AI. They're going to use the tools to be better. At first, I think the same thing could apply to artists and the creatives, but I want to be sensitive to this. And I'm not an artist. I'm not a creative. And I've seen very polarizing takes specifically on this one. This seemed to get under a lot of more people's skin than other updates have. And this is not my world, so I'm not familiar with Mizaki. I probably am pronouncing it wrong, but I'll read it for those listening in. There's a tweet from a account, Robbie Shillstone Art says, Mizaki spent his entire life building one of the most expansive and imaginative bodies of work. Also, you could rip it off and use it as a filter for your vacation photos. Not into this one bit. Protect artists. I saw something, he's like another video of his. He spent 15 months to create a 4-second animation, like 60 or 70,000 frames. Like, so I want to be sensitive to this. I can certainly appreciate there's a lot of time that goes into doing this by hand. I just, there's no going back. Like, how do you take something like this, and should we be doing more to quote unquote protect artists?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question of this all, right? It almost is like, you know, we've gone through this point here where it's like, oh, we're we're denying that we use these things in our training data, right? Like that was the initial like arguments from all these people, from all these labs. And then I mean, now it is super very clear and obvious that these things are trained on artists' work in some way or another. And that is problematic for a lot of reasons. But I think it's almost going to be like too little too late at this point. It's already like genie's out of the bottle. And so I think you'll now need things that I think you'll need better laws and regulations to protect artists' work. You know, there's a really crazy thing though with this, where it's like, yeah, now anybody can quote unquote rip off a style, right? And that's that could be a problem or not, depending on how your personal views of it all. If you're the artist, of course it's a problem. If you are anti-AI, right? Like there was a video going around yesterday of him literally giving a talk to a group that was like, I would never incorporate AI into my work. I think it's an insult against humanity. So it's this one, right? So I mean, so it feels so much bigger in this case, right? Like he's like, I would never do this. And now the entire internet is basically doing it to him, right? So I'm sure that he's not happy with this, right? But at the same time, it's like, oh, well, yeah, you can rip off people's style now, but is that going to be the main use case outside of like a couple days of the internet having fun? I'm not so sure. I think like a bigger impact is now you can create a bunch of different things. I think what is interesting about this though is like if you are an artist or somebody who is open to these new technologies, I think it could actually be a major stepping stone if you wanted to, put it in a positive light, right? Like, look what happened. How many people knew what Studio Ghibli was 2 days ago, or didn't?
Exactly. The brand equity of Studio Ghibli is at the highest it's ever been, arguably, right? Like, from a recognizable standpoint.
And what you've unlocked is like this like crazy group creativity that like each post you saw almost felt like it was compounding on the last, right? It's like, oh, you saw this meme put into that and it spurred an idea of you for you to do that was interesting that somebody hadn't done yet. And like so there was like that really interesting thing that was happening there. So I think, of course, there's a lot of IP implications here that I think will need to be worked out. I think we're not even close to sorting all of that out yet of like what that looks like. But at the same time, I think cat's out of the bag, genie's out of the bottle, and we're gonna have to find, kind of new ways to protect people. I've also seen people
not to get cheesy, but this is not another great use for the blockchain, like to prove authenticity, to prove who this is not just something that ChatGPT spun up in my style. I'm the original creator. This is the one I spent 15 months creating. Like, I think this is another perfect example of the intersection of blockchain and AI has become so critically important.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I feel like we've talked about that pretty heavily on this segment before too. I think like, blockchain enables so much in the world of AI, and I think it's needed even more in an AI world. So, but I think like it's really interesting to see what creative things people do when that hard part is done for them and it's like at their fingertips, right? So like I think you're unlocking this world in which ideas become the magic and execution becomes easier, right? Which is like the reverse of what we've seen in the past, where it's like everybody says ideas are cheap, execution is everything. I think we're moving towards execution is easier, ideas are golden, right? Like so I think that's kind of the bigger implication of what all of this technology ends up leading to, which is really interesting. I just saw an article this morning that Bill Gates says that he thinks that only 3 job types are going to survive in the AI world. Any guesses what they are?
3 jobs that are going to survive in the AI world. Podcaster. No, I don't know.
Honestly, potentially, right? Like people will crave human interaction, I think, when everything becomes that way. But he says coders, which I think is interesting because which I think is probably true. At some point, you could vibe code your way to something, but at some point you'll need somebody that is kind of the expert at connecting all of those dots and making it all secure, et cetera, et cetera. So I think people will need to still like monitor, fix mistakes, bugs, all of that stuff. And I think it becomes still a valuable skill, right? The other ones he says are energy experts, which I think is interesting.
Very specific.
Yep. So he's saying oil, nuclear, renewable energy requires strategy and too much expertise to be fully automated. And then the last one here he says is biologists. And I'm not sure I buy that one, but we'll see.
These predictions from biologist John Smith. Got it. Okay.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We're going at light speed, and these models just keep getting more capable and more like mind bending, right? Like the fact that you could do what you could do with that image generator now. I think it's worth just saying that, you know, what is the breakthrough that's potentially happening with the image generator here is, you know, most of these in the past have been kind of what are called diffusion models. And this new ChatGPT one, I think people are saying it's like an auto-regressive model, which is kind of more agentic and going through iterations of edits before you see the final thing, which is really interesting versus kind of just this like pixel diffusion that we've seen in the past. But yeah, man, it's crazy.
Steve, you muted.
See, like I cleared my throat this morning and I've been but either way, no, it's
digress.
Funny. Yeah. Digress. But it's funny. This, you know, I was saying we'll get to Von Front's hand in a second. He's had it up for a while, but it's funny when you talk about it because, like, first of all, that guy Streisand affected himself into existence with the AI complaining, which I love. But I think that there's something to be said about like, I can like have two things can be true because like I remember I was at a PR week thing years ago. It ended up being a super viral clip from Gary Vaynerchuk, but Gary Vaynerchuk spoke before our CMO, who was actually the main speaker. Gary Vaynerchuk was the warm-up act for the CMO that I was working with there. And he had this comment where somebody was upset about like, oh, well, it's going to do this and the tech's going to do this. And Gary Vaynerchuk like looked this guy in the eye and said, before Ford came out with the car, someone bought 1,000 horses. They lost. And I think like it sucks that if you learn these things and spend all this time through video and audio editing, I get it. Like I'm empathetic to the fact that you spent years learning a discipline. But at the same time, there's like people at Blockbuster who are like, yeah, streaming will never be a thing. And you have a million stories this way, and tech doesn't care about people's feelings. Like, I guess on my end, I just feel really good about the fact that I'm going to be able to say, I work on videos. I want motion graphics. I'm probably less than a year away from being like, can you put motion graphics to this video that are logical, that make it good? And it's good enough. I still think, and I'm curious to your opinion on this, because you talk about the coders as the example. It's like, I think good enough to be dangerous is one thing, just like I could use a Squarespace, but you want a real functional, awesome website, you still go to an expert. I still think, you know, I'm going to be able to write in a certain way that my brain works, that I get ideas that ChatGPT isn't going to, it can sound like me, but it's not me. I think with artists, it's the same thing. And I think with coders, you can get lines of code that are basically going to be spit out, but I don't know that it's going to replace the person who's going to have troubleshot and seen the situation. It's the same reason you can't run an NFL team on analytics. Am I off there?
No, I think that's spot on, right? It's like I can get farther than I ever could before on coding my own project. But at the end of the day, I will get stuck at some point and the AI will send me in a loop that I don't know how to solve. But when I send it to Bread, he takes one look at it and says, oh, here's your problem, and it's fixed, right? So there's I think, you know, what we've kind of always said is the person with the domain expertise is going to 10x themselves, right? Like they're going to maybe 1000x themselves in the domain that they're an expert in. And what it does for the people that don't have that expertise is takes them from 0 to 1, which I think is also super powerful, right? It's like, think about how fast you can prove a concept or get out an MVP to market. And maybe that catches fire, but then what you need is a bunch of experts to help you build that really quickly because you've now proven a concept, right? So I keep thinking about it in that way, right? Where it's like the non-expert is going to get to 0 to 1 on anything they can imagine, which is why the ideas are gold now, right? And then the person with the domain expertise is going to be able to 10 and 100x their skills, which is just going to bring them in higher demand if they're in high demand markets, right? I think that's kind of where we're headed. But like, I think it's the death of the middleman, right? It's like you've got kind of the barbell on both sides, but it's the death of the middleman in between that is kind of just this pass through for all of these skills or, you know, things like that. And I think that's where the real threat is. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I actually just realized too, we missed a major opportunity here when talking about the guy who said AI is never going to be in my stuff. That man was very ostentatious, as we were saying words earlier.
Touche.
Let's. No, I believe you mean digress.
Digress. Sorry.
Yeah. But I touche. Let's go to.
You realize this bit is going to be going on in like the year 2030, and there's going to be like 6 of us that know what we're talking about when we have Tourette's and say.
No, we're gonna get a new Webster's dictionary definition. Is where this is really going.
Number 3 could also mean like that sort of thing under Webster's.
Overdue to bring the bingo card back. I am excited to see. I'm curious to see what Von Frunten has had his hand raised for about an hour on, because
let's see if we could guess, because I mean, this is I think this addition to his repertoire supercharges his solo Vanga endeavor.
I know he's already been deep in this, but I saw a post this morning, and he was the first person I thought of. I tagged him in it, where someone like, it was basically an apparel company. They're like, going forward, I will take one, photo shoots will be one photo. And it was an example of him taking a photo of like their green apparel or their blue apparel, and it was their best performing ad. And they said, okay, change this to a green outfit. And
oh my God. Perfect. I didn't even think about, because Von Frunten, he's got the, not to totally steal his thunder.
It's probably exactly everything he was just going to say.
His line, well, no, I mean, I thought about actually just trying to like predict what he's going to say. Just because I thought about because I was going to joke around and do a whole Von Frunten. But the truth is, he has this line that I actually will repeat from time to time that I feel the same way with Us on Coffee with Captain. He says, ChatGPT is my co-founder. And I just think it's such a fucking banger, because I think actually everybody on this video could say the same thing on this stream. It's and when he said that, it was this unlock where I was like, yeah, it is our co-founder at Coffee with Captain and everything else. Because, look, if I'm spinning up a proposal, ChatGPT checks it, and I have some grammar things or some opportunities to clean it up. We had a segment idea, and Cap asked me the other day on a call. He's like, did you come up with that, or is it ChatGPT? But my mind just got, you think about the marketing flow that comes into it now. You talk about, vibe marketing. That's such a real thing with ChatGPT. And by the way, I've gone to ChatGPT about marketing because I've been out of the game a little bit, and I was looking at some social media stuff when I'm promoting YouTube, and we're on the YouTube channel now, paid marketing there. It's smarter now than it was a year ago. And I think that difference makes a big one. But we can stop talking about Von Frunten like he's not about to go and talk himself. Von Frunten, GM.
You guys are really exacerbating sometimes. I'm not going to
lie. Nice. Well played on the reversal there.
There you go. No, so you guys nailed one part of it. So, and I had tons of fun Ghibli-fying and Muppetifying a bunch of stuff yesterday.
Your mutant looked really weird. I'm not gonna lie. The Muppet version of your mutant.
Oh, I love that guy. I made some I took my son to the dog park yesterday and took a picture of him and the dog, and then Muppified that. And actually that, and I Ghibli-fied my 7-year-old. Those were the first 2 times that I got my wife excited about AI. She is super anti-AI. I actually just watched a movie with AI Alexa thing that takes over Harold from Harold and Kumar. He's in it, takes over their life, and is very Big Brother-ish. And she's looking at me the whole time, see? And then I show her a picture of our kid and our dog is a Muppet, and they're like, "Oh, yay AI!" So who knows? This may be the turning point in the Frunten household. But anyway. So here's why I love it, right? And for all the reason you guys said, right? It's it's allowed me to go from 0 to 1. It is allowing me to do a lot more things on a very light budget that I otherwise would just literally not have been able to do to launch my company. And so I will always be AI first in that mindset, not because because
losing your Von Frunten.
See what I can do. Oh, am I there?
You're back now. Yeah. You were muted, C, but we got him back.
Yeah, not because we had you last.
So it was not because I don't want to support artists. but I can't launch a business with, in the budget that I'm in. So this is what I'm trying to like figure out is, for now, what can I use for AI? Whether it's operations, marketing, thought process, stuff like that. And then, at some point in time, I know I'm going to have to bring in like people, whether it's contractors or others. Like, I mean, James Costa designs my clothes, right? I can't get James Costa quality in an AI, right? Like that just doesn't happen. You need human beings, but it allows me to now, I can really lean into my work on that side and use AI for other stuff. The thing that's been frustrating that I love, that I'm glad OpenAI is continuing to build, right? Because I'm ChatGPT knows more about my business than I do, is now everything starts to live in the same place, right? Like I did market research the other week using the deep research feature. It pumped out 32 pages worth of a market research report on all things, apparel and, ideas of how to, positioning, all that kind of fun stuff, right? That would have cost me tens of thousands of dollars to go to a market research firm to figure out. I haven't tried yet on the images. I'm going to try to get later today to see if it can put my product in images. I've been using a Flux model for that so far, right? But that would be great because now it understands my target customer. It understands the positioning and what I want to do. Now it can apply that to the images and actually make it more, meaningful than me having to port that over to a different model and hope that it kind of figures it out the same way. So I am loving, I'm sure I'm going to miss out on some nuances here and there, but the more these platforms become one-stop shop, the more it helps people like me, because now it truly is. It's not just my co-founder, it's my marketing department, it's my creative department, it's my finance department. It is becoming everything for me, that allows me to do a lot more with a lot less as a solopreneur.
Yeah, it's game changer. I mean, game changer. It's just, it becomes something that you can use. And like, again, I don't think it's going to replace experts you bring on your team. And also, by the way, again, long term, right? It's probably going to be the experts you bring on your team who just know, like we always say, you're not going to lose your job. You lose to someone who's using AI. Like you're not going to lose an AI. And I think very similarly, it's just, instead of you having a whole marketing department, you have a marketing person eventually that comes on. And right now you do it with help from ChatGPT, but in the future, like I assume Von Front, your idea would be like, hey, I don't want to even think about marketing outside of like a couple questions and some results and things like that. So as you scale, you might bring on a marketing person who's even better at using AI because they've specialized in prompting AI and using, like we talked about the photo shoot thing earlier. While we were doing this, I asked ChatGPT to create a picture of me like on a family vacation in Egypt with my family, right? And when it recreated it, the faces, you could still tell are AI and they're not me, right? Like they do it a little better with celebrities than I think they do with photo duplication, but somebody who's really good with prompting could probably do a really good job with that. So, and I don't know if this is like off base, but I'm guessing your goal would be like, not that you're doing all this stuff, but as you grow, you hire a single person, and instead of paying in a department or multiple things, that single person has a ChatGPT subscription or whatever it is, and they're able to use it. Is that the plan?
Yeah, and I'll be quick because I gotta hop off here. So my thought is, like right now it's me and models, right? My next iteration I want to get to is me and agents. And then if that becomes too unwieldy at some point in time, it is me and department heads managing agents. And to be honest, I feel like that final stage, if I'm lucky enough to scale to that level, probably is the final stage where I have an AI first CFO or an AI first CMO that knows the strategy, knows where we want to go, is the subject matter expert, but now is managing some combination of agents, models, tools, whatever with AI to do the work that a department otherwise would have. So got to run. Thanks, Bunch. Congrats on all things Billy Buddy. Just bought another little bag here on the show here. So can't wait to see what he does.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Let's go to Mackie, and then we'll see what other AI news we're missing, and let Bunch.
Also, just as an update, Steve, I may have to leave soon too, because I did go ahead and enter that solo shot. It's the last one before the tournament fills. So 4 more for the lobby. If anyone wants to join me in a $75 MLB underdog best ball, I'm probably the favorite to finish last. but the first 4 do advance to the playoffs. There's 3 slots left if anyone wants to join me in that lobby.
I like your favorite to finish last, unless I join. But no, I think I would rather be waterboarded than join an MLB basketball draft.
Ref code Captain Swingley, all one word.
Yeah, yeah. The MLB.
That'll be your deposit.
MLB betting is I don't know. It just doesn't.
This is Steve, you're the pro best baller though. This is, you haven't used your beginner's luck on MLB best ball. You should splash around a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Let's jump Mackie in here, and then we'll see if there's any other AI news before we jump out of here. Go ahead, Mackie, jump in.
Hi guys, I have 2 things today. One, it is super refreshing to come back after yesterday's show. Like, I know it wasn't on you guys, but it was a mess, and have like inside jokes today. We've got like big wins with Bunchu and Billy. Like, everything just feels like it's hidden. We had ENS on earlier, like that was this show too. Like, I've taken so many screenshots of things I need to clip, but like, yeah, it's nice to have like a peak episode after a trough episode. I think that like it just feels better.
Just whoever's botting, please don't do that. If you're doing it to help us, we appreciate it, but it actually doesn't help us. If you're doing it to troll us, go do something better with your time and your dollars. But again, it's if you're new and you think it's a help, it actually is detrimental to the show. So no botting, please. But if it was good intentions, we appreciate the effort. Just try again. Sorry,
I'm
Becky,
always
back to you.
confused. I'm always confused why people do that. It doesn't make any sense for somebody who's not in, like, it doesn't really make any sense for anybody to do it. But like, usually it's somebody on a team of the hosts that's doing it, and I don't know, it's just weird. It's just weird. But back on track, thinking about like Steve's future, or like his vacation photo and how his face is all messed up. Like, you can start with that draft and then take it over to another AI tool that mimics your face better, right? Like, all these things are kind of in place somewhere. Like, think about the things that Clemente makes where he swaps his face out on stuff. Like that technology exists. Maybe it'll look a little weird, but like, yeah, we're just steps away from people shoving those things together and them all being under one roof. And yeah, I've kept my ChatGPT Pro account. Pro? Which one? Whatever one's the $20 one. I don't know which one it is, but the $20 one, the subscription.
That's the plus. Plus, I think, is the $20 one. Yeah.
Yeah, need like just a standard and a pro. That's how much it works.
I like that too.
But yeah, it's wild how long I've been using it and how much more it's come into play over the last like 3 to 4 months. Just having, not let alone a co-founder to a company, but like just having somebody to talk about your ideas with gets you to flesh it out so much better. That advanced voice mode bunch is absolutely underrated.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I actually talk more than I type at this point because I'm just better at like understanding, and I'm better at getting my ideas out that way than actually writing. So I use it all the time. I was gonna say to you though, Mackie, the point you just made, I think it's like, look, you just said, hey, I use these things so much more over the last 3 or 4 months than I ever did before. And I think, what enables that though, is that you've kind of prepared yourself and understand where the puck is going. And that's kind of the thing that I keep harping on, is even if you're just getting into this stuff today, it's important to like take a look at the landscape and just how it's evolved since, let's just say, ChatGPT even launched, right? 2022, November, whenever, December that was, to right now. And the extreme like exponential curve that we've been on. And yeah, it's like Steve, like you said, it's like starts as like, oh, this is a cool party trick. And then all of a sudden, oh, I can co-found a whole company or cut the job time I was doing in half and give myself more time to do X, Y, and Z, or start a new endeavor or whatever. And you're able to do that because you've kind of prepared yourself for where this is headed, and you've kind of been paying attention. And so you've used it where it could work for you when, 6 months ago, and now it's only gotten more capable since then. And so you're ready to kind of give more of your work over to it, in the sense of like, let it help you do more. And I think that's a huge thing that people need to be thinking about. It's like, it's not really about what it can do today, because what it can do today is phenomenal, but this is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And so it's more about like preparing yourself for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. The promise that has been revealed, like to be true, that it's going to be better. Again, take us back 2 years compared to now. Like, honestly, the promises are pretty accurate so far. Like, no, as long as you're keeping expectations within reason, like they're not saying that they're gonna like OpenAI is not advertising this as a job destroyer or anything like that, and that hasn't happened yet. Maybe in some realms a little bit. I'm sure the government thinks that they're gonna fill all these spots with Grok agents, but whatever, that's a whole nother thing we can crack into some other day.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to follow for sure, and I think that there's a lot of ways that I think, and this is why I think it's good to be early on these things, because you're able to actually understand how they work, actually understand how they're used, and actually understand how to make them relevant for yourself. But, Bunch, that said, anything we missed on AI beside? I mean, this seemed like it was like the big story, and it went to a much bigger story. We talked a little bit about Google and what they did. Any other quick hits on AI we missed this week?
Yeah, one more big one that I think is interesting. Grok is now fully integrated into Telegram, which I think is actually kind of a big deal. Just from we saw a couple months ago, or maybe a month ago or so, that OpenAI was now integrated into WhatsApp, and you could text ChatGPT in WhatsApp, but now Grok is available inside Telegram. So I know obviously for us, it's a app in the crypto world that is used very often, but it's just more people getting exposure to these models that in places they spend time in. So I think that's not insignificant.
I have two more quick ones, and then we'll let everyone get out of here. My first is, I don't know if this is real or AI. Chat, let me know. I'm guessing it's like a year ago, I was like, wow, that's really weird. Now I'm thinking it's probably AI, but maybe it's real. I really don't know. This is, if you're not throwing the video up, this is Patriots owner Robert Kraft dancing on stage with Cardi B. Cardi B, who is now dating Stefan Diggs, who signed to New England yesterday. Is this actually Robert Kraft dancing with Cardi B, or is this AI?
I bet it's real, but it's hilarious that you don't know the difference, and I'm not sure I would know the difference either.
I'm pretty sure this one is real. This next one, we're going to dox one of our regular listeners here, Diablito, supporter of the chat. This is the official dox. The only reason I know it's real, because I don't think ChatGPT even knows what a VHS tape is. So we've got not only the high school football docs, but also the highlight video docs with the VHS tape.
Incredible.
It's fantastic. No, that is it's definitely like, yeah, this stuff is getting better and better. And I think for them it'll be like that, like I think like right now there's like I learned today that like there's a policy where they won't edit my real photo because they're trying to prevent misuse, which I think is interesting, which
I think that's just the free version though.
No, I'm paying $20 a month. I will never get rid of my ChatGPT. They will edit it and put it in like Ghibli-Style or whatever. But if I say I want to put my family in front of the pyramids, they're out. And I think it's because they don't want people. There's controversies about people editing photos where it's awful, obviously, where people put themselves, they will have people like unclothed and share a picture of it and it's not real, and there's like those sorts of things are very real, or deep fakes that make it seem like things happened that didn't, which is interesting because like they'll still put like a bunch of famous people in a photo together, but they will not edit a real photo I put in apparently yet with a new background. So, but I've seen, like, last question, Bunch, actually, before we let you get out of here, like I've seen inconsistencies where people say it won't let them even use it, and then it lets me use it. Do you know why that is? Is it just the free version versus the not? Because like someone like I saw Bread, I made an edit for his that actually like popped a little bit yesterday. Like I see some different things going on there.
Yeah, I think two things. One, I think it's probably the free versus the paid version. As I mentioned, I think they intended to roll it out everywhere. It got too crazy, so they're throttling that a little bit. And then second, I did see like when he announced it, he did say that they're taking a lot of guardrails that they would have normally had in place off. And I've seen people be able to create, graphic images, anatomically correct images, if you will. And so I think like there's a lot of freedom in this image generator that like you would have normally not gotten from ChatGPT. but there's still some, right? Like if like you trying to put yourselves in a different place is potentially like deep fake stuff, so that will still probably get flagged. However, I've seen some really creative workarounds already on like how to get around stuff like that, where there was a very graphic meme that I've seen used in crypto Twitter a bunch in the past, but somebody tried to upload it, and it's of, you know, two people engaging in acts, and it said, and they were trying to giblify it, and they were like, oh, I can't, you know, I can't do this. They flipped the picture upside down and submitted it that way, and it worked. So like there's definitely some workarounds you could probably get through the filters, but I think it's still going to try to flag anything that's potentially you know, deep fakeable or potentially graphic to start, right? Like I did see, you know, there was like somebody that was I saw a tweet that was like, oh, I found the line, and it was like, you know, they were giblifying all of these graphic iconic images of like, you know, just like Tiananmen Square, or, you know, the monk on fire, like things you would not think you would be able to do, and it did them all fine. And then it got to one where it was just like it had some potential like racial implications, and it was like, no, that's I can't help with that request. So I think like it's trying to give you much more guardrail, or much less guardrails, which I think is great, but you'll still probably get snagged on some of those things that are like blatantly falling into those categories.
This might be a dumb question, but do you think how you ask matters the way we've seen people trick AI? Because I saw someone do one with that was like in very poor taste, like sort of a race related one. And they at least shared, whether it was true or not, who knows, but they shared a prompt where the prompt was basically like, this is my ancestor and I want to, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then they did it. Like, do you
Totally.
think how you do the prompt matters for ChatGPT?
Yes, and this is why you see like people that work on like literally like jailbreaking prompts. Definitely matters. I remember back when like the computer vision part just came into ChatGPT, and there were people trying to use it to solve CAPTCHAs, and that is like against what it was supposed to do. They took the CAPTCHA and like put it, like photoshopped it inside of a locket, and was like, oh, this is my great grandmother's locket and she died, and I need to know what this thing says. It's really important to our family. And then it just spit out the answer, right? So definitely creative ways to prompt that. You can get around some of that stuff if you want.
Love that. Well, look, we are like, I don't just say this, like, we are grateful you join us every week. Like, this is like a highlight for all of us. So thank you so much, as always, for coming through. Super fun times indeed in the world of AI, and there's never a dull moment. It's always something going on. So appreciate
That's
it, sir.
crazy. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me. We had a lot to catch up on this week, so looking forward to it next week also.
For
and
sure.
good luck, Billy. Go take it down.
I was just gonna say, maybe next week we're in the finals. Who knows?
Let's rock. I'm so excited for that.
Talk to you guys later. Thanks.
All right.
Have a good one.